Let's get ethical, ethical. I wanna get ethical. Ethics and being ethical, very hot topic lately, which is great. What a great thing to be able to say. It's so fashionable right now to care about the world. I have talked about ethical and eco-friendly things on this channel because I'm interested in them. So I've talked about things like cruelty-free makeup, veganism, plastic-free periods, stitching fast fashion, but I wrote the notes for these videos on an iPhone or a MacBook. I made a video last month about the fact that I'm going traveling a lot this year, and that involves flight. So how can I talk about ethics and being ethical and about ways to change your daily life if ultimately I am doing lots of things that wouldn't be considered ethical? If you talk about things like veganism online, you will inevitably get the comment that says something like, well, if you care so much about the planet, then what are you typing this on right now? Which is funny because obviously the person writing it isn't like carving this message into a stone tablet and then giving it to a really buff pigeon to deliver. But you can see what they're trying to say, which is you're a hypocrite. Inevitably that does mean they're saying they're not a hypocrite because they don't even pretend to be ethical, like they know their behavior is terrible, which is probably like a whole other issue. The thing is, it's pretty difficult to live a fully ethical life. There are things that we could do without that would be like a big sacrifice, like choosing to live without a computer, without a phone, choosing to give up things like meat, dairy and eggs completely. You could give up buying things completely, you could make all your own clothes out of like fabrics that you have ethically sourced or recycled, but these things would have an impact on your life and might genuinely decrease your everyday happiness depending on what kind of person you are. I think all of that exists in this grey area, and then you move on to the things that actually are realistic. I think it's realistic for all of us to reduce the amount that we buy. I think it's probably realistic to decrease the amount of meat that we eat. We definitely don't need to use single-use plastic as much as we do. And we can do things like using public transport, catching trains where possible. I don't know, I think these are all within the realms of possibility for most people. Ultimately, when you get down to it, there are so many reasons why people can't go like full eco-warrior. A huge thing obviously is wealth and privilege. A lot of the time people like to make it seem like it's super easy, like just don't buy fast fashion, obviously. But that would only work if we only bought fashion to put on our bodies to cover bits up or to like stay warm. And that's not why we wear clothes. There are lots and lots of factors at play that are to do with personal identity, mental health, confidence, gender identity. There's a lot going on. It's not simple. It is not realistic for most people to buy expensive, ethically made clothing. It's also not realistic for everybody to buy secondhand or thrifted clothing or to shop on Depop or eBay, because I've heard from a lot of people who wear larger sizes that it's just not realistic for them. So I understand why people still buy fast fashion, and I think the realistic thing to do is to reduce. I also obviously understand why people have laptops and phones, because I have a laptop and a phone. There is an ethical phone called a Fairphone out there, which apparently is pretty decent but has a pretty terrible camera. One of the main things I use my phone for is taking photos, especially for social media. And I need my laptop to edit videos. Again, need is subjective, right? Like ultimately I could just be completely technology free, but I would be living a completely different life. And I think for most people, phones and computers have become like a really core part of how we exist, how we consume content, how we share things, how we create, how we communicate with each other. I'm not saying become apathetic and don't care about this stuff, but I am saying don't beat yourself up or let other people beat you up for it. Anyway, to bring it back to the title, I don't think that doing what you can to make the world a better place is hypocritical. And I think a lot of the time people's motivation for saying this is that they are doing nothing or very little, and they're trying to project some of that guilt onto you and say like, well, you're not a good person either, you're not perfect. To which I say, I am not trying to pretend to be perfect. And I think it's really damaging when people do try to be very like holier than thou, because I think it's definitely hypocritical if you yourself are engaging in some level of unethical behavior, which we basically all are, but you're also shaming other people for their choices. If someone is shaming people because they think that they should be doing more or physically can be doing more, you have to follow that line of thinking and go like, but you could be doing more too. You could be living in a hut, completely off the grid, growing all your own food, wearing mud caked on your body as clothing. So why aren't you? What's your excuse for not doing that? What I don't think is judgy or bad is to state facts about things, educate people. Like telling people facts about the meat industry, fine. Telling people that they are awful personally for eating meat, not not fine. And I also feel like doing things like shaming other people for eating meat and then turning around and eating dairy or wearing leather is like, just, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't hold other people to higher ethical standards than you hold yourself. Like, that's just obviously not okay. And I see a lot of that very judgmental behavior, and I think that does put people off. But yeah, it's personal. Food, clothing, these things are really personal. I eat vegan and I am fully vegan day to day, but I do eat butter on Christmas Day. I walk and take public transport pretty much everywhere I can, but I'm also taking a bunch of flights this year, and I don't think there's anything hypocritical about any of that. All you can do is try. And I mean, ultimately, we can make lots of personal changes in our lives, and that will have an impact, but really, we need corporations and governments to change. So there is a certain level of personal responsibility, but it's not the be-all and end-all of how to live ethically and try to make the world better. But oh my god, that is a video for another day, because I'm sitting really weirdly on my foot, and it's gone completely numb. Please come back to me. Bye.